Hi everyone, it's Fitz with your post press conference walk and talk. This week we had the defensive coaches, Joe Klanderman at the table, then three other coaches came in. Of course, Van Malone will have his own press conference next week. First off, make sure you're subscribing to this YouTube site. Make sure you're thumbs upping, liking the video if you like it, and leave a comment if you want to. I read them all. And shout out to Ryan Gilbert, who lost my windsock, if you recall, last week. So all I have now is the Don King version of a windsock, but it's too windy outside. It's ridiculous out there right now. It just kind of gusts. So here we are inside the Veneer Complex, incredible building. These defensive coaches, excuse me, are really, really optimistic. They feel like they got a lot of depth, they got a lot of quality. And of course, spring football. They take a little bit of different approach with this staff than the previous, staff. They would get after it in spring football. And this staff looks at spring football more as an opportunity to heal, to kind of put in a basic understanding of what they want to do, maybe find some emerging players, and sift through the roster. Klanderman specifically said they don't want to put added stress load to guys who had a lot of stress load during the season. And I think that's interesting because a lot of coaches still want to get noses bloodied and, get players banged up in the spring to see who's tough and who can rebound. And this is more about kind of discovering players and healing. That's a good approach. The main topic today was the utter shock of the coaches that Daniel Green came back for his COVID season. Because I was shocked. I said goodbye to Daniel at the Sugar Bowl. I saw no indications from him that he would be back. In fact, if you go back 2 years ago, we actually asked him at Texas if he was coming back. We thought he might leave then for the NFL, and he opted to come back, and we were a little surprised at that. So this was kind of a shocker for everyone. He had made no indications. Coach Klanderman said they just literally don't have those discussions. They want these players to focus on the season at hand, focus on what they're doing, and after the season, that's when they'll have those kind of discussions. So they hadn't really talked to him about it, but I think we all assumed, and certainly they did, that he wasn't coming back. His addition at linebacker led Klanderman to say this is the best group of linebackers they've had at Kansas State. And then we have Steve Standard come in, their coach, and just rave about Austin Moore and Daniel Green, and the kind of quality they bring as two possible all-conference performers at that spot. At defensive end, we now see Khalid Duke moving back into the DN spot permanently. I know they kind of hedged on that earlier in the spring, but Khalid's now a defensive end. But he brings with him now the ability to understand playing in space, which I'm kind of intrigued by. But with Felix Anudike-Uzomah moving on to the NFL, and they kind of needed a splash guy there. And I asked Buddy Wyatt, the ends coach, to compare and contrast the two. And it was really interesting. He said Felix uses a lot of lower body strength and a flexibility to, bend and get around defensive ends, while Khalid's more of a power guy with that upper body. Not as tall and rangy as Felix, but he gets it done in his own way. Brendan Mott's healing up this spring, but Nate Matlack's back more at full strength, and he played injured all year and just really never showed his thing. At nose tackle, they're kind of just sifting through everything. I'll have more on that later, but I just love Coach Stewie. He's so much fun to talk to. But Uso, the big guy, is kind of the main element there. And Klanderman said something really interesting about Uso, in that he's always been able to get by. And, it's almost like a five-star basketball recruit that never had to play defense or share the ball. Tua's always been the biggest, baddest guy on his team, but that doesn't happen in the Big 12. And now he's learning to take care of his body, take care of all the off-the-field stuff that you need to do to be really good at this level, and the day-to-day stuff. Something Eli Huggins, who, by the way, did indeed blow his Achilles on pro day, so he's got at least a 9-month rehab if he wants to play in the NFL. If Uso can really step up and be the kind of guy that he could be on a down-to-down, it'll require him to get in a really good shape, maybe the best shape of his life. So we don't really have that much information on corners, other than Keenan Garber has really accelerated his development, and You know, they're just going to have an ability to rotate more guys there, have a little more depth, because they had 2 lead guys that needed the minutes, and it kind of stunted the growth of other people. But now they're, you know, Jacob Parrish will be out there. There's going to be a group of guys that'll play kind of more divided minutes. And then safety, I think Clanderman really likes his group, but he's experimenting, moving a lot of people around. VJ Payne's being shifted all over the field to discover what he's best at. He was playing free the other day when we were at the open practice. But they want to get more depth. He said it'd be great to have 9 guys for those 3 positions, but I think we all recognize with scholarship limits that ain't happening. Well, that's it for the defense. Van Malone's next week, so we'll get some cornerback information and more general information about this football team.